having a fantastic day today. It's your boy Alex, and I'm back today with another reaction video to, yes, some more political content. It's funny, man. These political videos where my affiliation is not even mentioned in here have been polarizing. A lot of people have been like, yo, I'm subscribing to the channel, keep these videos coming. A lot of y'all are like, peace, see you later. Fuck these political videos! Frankly, I just don't get it. Because I react to a Ben Shapiro video does not mean that I support every one of Ben Shapiro's views. Same with Jordan Peterson. Now we're gonna be reacting to a video of Ben Shapiro getting owned, supposedly, in a debate. I am a fan of debates. I went to law school, I'm an attorney, I passed the bar on the first try. What? So I like seeing arguments. This is supposedly Ben Shapiro, let's see, what is this? Ben Shapiro, US commentator clashes with BBC's Andrew Neil. So, Andrew Neil, for those of y'all that don't know, tends to also be a more right-leaning dude, but oftentimes whenever he's doing an interview, he plays the devil's advocate. So he'll go against whatever beliefs the person he's interviewing just to kind of have that side be presented, you know? We'll see what this video does. I am not one affiliation or the other, you fucking scoundrels. Some of y'all are the best people I've ever met in my life. Some of y'all are toxic. You know who you are. Anyway, let's go.
Shapiro, you're followed by millions of people online and on social media. You're one of the biggest names in American conservatism. What is it you think you're tapping into?
Well, I think that there are a couple of things. One, there is actually a hunger for different ideas. The monolithic nature of the United States media is pretty evident in terms of its politics. People tend to agree on essentially the liberal point of view and increasingly a radical leftist point of view in the media. And obviously, I speak in response to that. At the same time, I try to provide an honest take on the issues of the day, and that means that I am not beholden to the Republican Party, for example. It means that I am going to speak out whenever I think that a principle is being violated, just no matter who is doing the violation.
Okay.
You would.
Now, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I hear Ben Shapiro speak and my eyes glaze over for a bit, and I'm like, fuck did he just say? It's like that sensation where you read a paragraph in a book and you're like, what the fuck did I just read? Let me go back. Anyway.
For the right-wing Breitbart website, that you left over its support for Donald Trump. And I think you said you'd never vote for Mr. Trump. Why is that?
Well, in 2015, 2016, the Breitbart made a hard turn in favor of one particular candidate, and that's their prerogative. Lots of publications have an editorial point of view, and Breitbart was one of those. The reason that I left Breitbart specifically was because of an incident in which a Breitbart reporter, a female reporter, was grabbed on the arm by Corey Lewandowski, then the campaign manager for President Trump, and was bruised on the arm, and then Corey Lewandowski proceeded to lie about it, and Breitbart proceeded to throw its own reporter under the bus, suggest that she was lying or making this up. And at that point, I determined that I could no longer work for a publication that wasn't even willing to stand up for its own reporters, and instead would throw those reporters under the bus in favor of a candidate that it sought to back.
Haven't you lost your battle for the Republican Party, though? Isn't there?
Okay, Andrew Neil saying, haven't you? Okay, let's see what's going on. This is interesting. So far, it's not anything of a debate. It just seems like a straight interview.
Republican Party now the party of Trump?
No, I mean, I think that the Republican Party is always the party of whomever is the president, technically speaking. But in terms of who are the sort of the thought leaders inside the conservative movement, who are the people who are driving a lot of the discussion inside the conservative movement, I don't think that's correct at all. I think that most Republicans see President Trump as a vehicle for their policy preferences, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they agree with all of his personal foibles or the way that he behaves or the things that he says.
Fair
and I think
enough.
a lot of Republicans respond in anger to the media attacking President Trump mainly out of a reactionary and half-appropriate upset that the media seem to have a double standard when it comes to covering certain politicians.
Now, there is some truth to that, right? Like, a lot of people don't like Donald Trump as a person, and they take that and spread it like mayonnaise across his political views, too. And I'm not saying left or right, doesn't fucking matter. Just a lot of people in general tend to group everything about a person into one box, which is, I mean, it's fine. If we're talking politics, let's talk politics. If we're talking personality, let's talk personality. Sure, you can have the all-encompassing, but we gotta be on the same page when we're talking about something, right?
That you think there's a thought movement inside the Republican Party. I mean, haven't the conservatives run out of ideas in America? All the new policies, the Medicare for all, $15 minimum wage, the Green New Deal, they're all coming from the left, and they're popular.
Well, frankly, I'm confused by the idea that any of those are particularly new ideas. I mean, most of those ideas have been around since Franklin Delano Roosevelt at the very earliest, or at the very latest, rather. Some of them go all the way back to Woodrow Wilson. But the idea that new ideas are absent in the Republican Party is obviously untrue. We have a very strong debate that goes on inside sort of the conservative halls of intelligentsia about what is the appropriate action to take with regard
In my
to
opinion,
the medical system.
That's something that I don't even care about. Who cares? If you have new ideas, if you don't have new ideas, if the new ideas are good, we should be, who cares if they're new or old? We should be talking about if the ideas are good or bad. Seems right, like what you would do.
Should global warming be considered a real threat, or should global warming be considered something that technology will solve? And if so, what are the best aspects of solving that? Now, there's a rich intellectual debate on the right about nationalism versus patriotism, for example, or populism versus free marketeerism. That debate is happening on the right to sort of suggest that the right in America is bereft of ideas, but the left is full of ideas. Number one, not all ideas
Who
are
cares,
good ideas.
dude?
I mean,
Who
AOC
cares?
is pretty good evidence of
We're
that.
getting into emotional
I'm a big fan
feelings.
of some
Nobody
old
cares.
ideas myself that I think are pretty good. But
Who has new
beyond
ideas?
that, I think
Stupid.
that it is
Move on.
intellectual sneering of the highest order to suggest that only the left has new and decent ideas.
Some of the ideas that are popular in your side of politics would seem to take us back to the Dark Ages. Georgia, new abortion laws, which you are much in favor of, that a woman who miscarries could get 30 years. A Georgian woman who travels to another state for an abortion procedure could get 10 years. These are extreme hard policies.
Well, okay, a couple of things. One, I'm not sure. I mean, frankly, I don't know whether are you an objective journalist or are you an opinion journalist?
I'm a
Just so I know.
journalist that asks questions.
Okay, so you're a supposedly objective journalist calling policies with which you disagree barbaric and
No,
suggesting only one side of the political aisle has ideas. So I just want to point out that
No, I know that
wish you would at least be honest in your own biases.
Mr.
So
Shapiro, I know
are you
that
a member of
broadcasting
the?
in America is now so polarized that on one program you only have the left and another one you just have the right. My job is to question those who have strong views and put an alternative to them. If you were an anti-abortion person, I would be putting pro-abortion questions to you. But you are
Really, would you call the pro-choice
person.
position?
So why don't you
let me
just
ask you
answer
this.
my question?
Sir?
Ben Shapiro's getting a little heated, dude. He's getting a little edgy right now. I mean, he's getting emotional. Maybe Ben Shapiro has kind of categorized and bucketed every interviewer as against him. I don't know. Like Andrew Neil is saying, he's there to present the opposite side, which is good. That's what we want to see. Who cares if you're left or right? He's going to ask the punchy questions. Answer the damn questions respectfully, man. Let's go. Come on now.
Sir, I'm happy to answer your question. Please answer this one. Would you suggest that a late-term abortion is brutal?
I'm not taking a view on this issue. I'm asking you the questions.
Sir, you just suggested the pro-life position is inherently brutal and terrible, so I'm asking you, as an objective journalist, would you ask the same question to a pro-choice advocate by calling their position brutal and horrible?
What I'm asking you is that why is it that a bill banning abortions after a woman has been pregnant for 6 weeks is not a return to the Dark Ages? What's your answer?
My answer is something called science. Human life exists at conception. It ought to be protected. Now, back to my question to you. You purport to be an objective journalist. BBC purports to be an objective down-the-middle network. It obviously is not. It never has been. And you, as a journalist, are proceeding to call one side of the political aisle ignorant, barbaric, and sending us back to the Dark Ages. Why don't you just say that you're on the left?
This is stupid. This is stupid.
Is this so hard for you? Why can't you just be honest?
Seriously,
it's a serious question.
Mr. Shapiro, if you only knew how ridiculous that statement is, you wouldn't have said it.
I mean, come on, dude. Like, this is the dumbest thing. Who cares? Who cares? Let's talk about what positions are good and bad. It doesn't matter if he calls them barbaric. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. This is just a matter of you called my political views stupid.
Hey! I may have said something that pushed your buttons and you push freedom of speech on everybody.
Yeah, but you called them stupid. Like, who? Dude, what?
So let's move on. Would you vote
I
for
think
Mr.
it's pretty evident from your own questions exactly what you are, sir.
Trump? Would you vote for Mr. Trump in 2020?
I'd certainly consider voting for Mr. Trump in 2020, just like I'd consider voting for anybody else in 2020.
Okay.
But didn't you once say that you'd never vote for him?
I said that I wouldn't vote for him in 2016. And then I wrote a column for National Review explaining the conditions under which I might change my mind.
You're a culture war warrior. Isn't he largely on your side? You wrote once it was unlikely he'd appoint conservative judges to the Supreme Court. He has.
Right.
So you were wrong.
And so I like many of President Trump's policies, even if I still have serious reservations about his personality and character.
Ben Shapiro on the ropes,
Do you think there's a Democrat
baby.
that could beat him in 2020?
Sure, I think there are several Democrats who could beat him in 2020.
Who would have the best chance?
I think that Joe Biden is likeliest to beat him, considering that he has significant appeal in a lot of the Rust Belt, in places like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, the places that President Trump needs to win to retain the presidency. And Joe Biden also has a long history in politics, which means that the American people already have sort of a preconceived vision of him. President Trump, as a campaigner, is very good at dragging unknowns through the mud, or at exposing details about people that are previously sort of covered up. But when it comes to Joe Biden, he's been well exposed for a very long time. Most people know him, and he's not nearly as unpopular even going in as Hillary Clinton was in 2016.
So if it was a close race between Mr. Biden and Mr. Trump, you would, from what you say, I think, probably go for Mr. Trump.
Yes, I would vote for Mr. Trump if it were a race between Biden and Trump, because I think that the damage that President Trump has done to the country on a character and rhetorical level has already been done and cannot be undone. I don't see it as getting worse day by day. That is the new status quo, unfortunately. Now the question becomes which policies I would most like to see enacted, and Trump's policy.
He's saying that if you don't like Donald Trump as a person, that's already been aired out. We've already smelt that shit. So, I mean, you can't unsmell the shit. You know what I'm saying? So he's saying now that that shock is out of the way, let's get to the brass tacks, let's get to the policy. I agree with that. Whether you like Trump's views or not, I mean, can't we just focus on their political views if we're talking about politics?
Preferences are closer to my own than Joe Biden's are.
Now, you're a star of new media, of conservative new media. You and others on the left and the right, you position yourselves as supposed tellers of hard truths. But haven't you all just really coarsened public discourse in America and exacerbated its divisions?
You know, it's kind of odd to be hearing about me coarsening public discourse when you call policies you disagree with brutal and bringing us back to the Dark Ages, sir.
The point, I don't want to return to it, but the point was to put a position for you to reply to it. And I thought we covered that.
I think that
Ben Shapiro does go back to that, but you still said that my policies were bad. Dude, just like move the fuck on. Come on, we really wasting this much time? I feel like I'm wasting my life watching this.
The point too, because on your videos,
characterization of issues is part of the problem in the coarsening of public debate.
Well, maybe it's also part of your problem too, because we have from your YouTube videos, Ben Shapiro destroys the abortion argument. Ben Shapiro destroys transgenderism and abortion. Is that not a kind of coarse public discourse?
Well, are those videos labeled by me?
I have no idea. But
why are you picking out? Why are you? I have a question. Why are you picking out random YouTube videos put up by people who are not me?
Are you
and then attributing the titles to me?
Are you unhappy with the way they've been described?
I think that people can describe me however they please. It's a free country, and I'm all in favor of a public debate. If you watch the actual clips,
my opinion on this, if you are speaking honestly, and it's your opinion, if that sparks discourse is good, but we need to have appropriate ways to deal with that discourse. Too many people are caught up in their emotions. Too many people get triggered easily. Too many people, even Ben Shapiro has gotten triggered whenever people say that your views are barbaric or something like that. People get triggered easily. So do I see a day and age where we can separate our emotions from our beliefs? Probably not. Do I think that it's healthy? I think that I agree with the Jordan Peterson thing, where he's saying the way to handle kids is to allow them to do dangerous things carefully. Do I think that the political atmosphere right now is careful? No, not really. I think that people are going fucking bold in China shop type stuff. That's a tough one right there, because then you're dealing with like the titles destroys transgenderism. It's clickbait. I get that. I've used clickbait titles. People want clicks on their videos. That's going to get more clicks, right? Like if you can't handle the words, we all see worse on TV, in my opinion. I don't know.
Generally civil conversations between me and somebody who disagrees with me.
You say in your new book, you suggest that America's largest struggle at the moment is, quote, the struggle for our national soul. We are so angry at each other right now. And I think that's true. I've just returned from the United States. But aren't you part of the problem with the way you go about your discourse, not the solution?
I think we can all do better in our discourse, but the fact that I've reached out to so many people across the aisle to have conversations with them is pretty evident. The fact that I was willing to walk from a publication that was paying me money over principle is pretty evident. The fact that I've called out President Trump, a member of a party of which I am a member, repeatedly when I think that he has done things that are immoral, I think is decent evidence that I'm looking at least for a civil conversation.
Well, as you say in your book, you say that there's quite a key phrase, we are so angry at each other right now.
But realistically, what's the solution? How do you present a solution to people getting triggered by free speech?
No. But as I say, aren't you part of that anger? Aren't you encouraging that anger? For example, you described Mr. Obama's State of the Union address in 2012 as fascist mentality in action?
Well, I think that if you want to argue with the characterization, then we can talk about what exactly his State of the Union address said. Is it charged language in politics? Sure. The problem that I have is not with charged language in politics, which I'm generally in favor of. I like a robust public debate and a very loud and spirited public debate. I have no problem with that whatsoever. What I'm talking about is the assumption that people with whom we disagree politically are inherently of bad character or, in your words, want to bring us back to the dark ages.
But again, it was your description of the State of the Union address.
Keeps punching that rib.
The wording of President Trump's 2012 address was bad and wrong.
That's all. There are plenty of things that are bad and wrong, but it doesn't make them fascist.
Well, I suppose that's true. But if you would like to, again, if you'd like to read me the column out loud, I suppose I can critique it for you.
Oh, well, again, with Mr. Obama, you said, and you're Jewish yourself. I only mention that because, to put this in context, the Jews who vote for Obama are, by and large, Jews in name only. Ginos, you call them.
My statement was based on the fact that Jews in the United States, as an ethnic group, are largely irreligious, which is true by every single poll. Jews are the most irreligious group in the United States. As an Orthodox Jew who actually takes Judaism seriously, the point that I am making is that most Jews who are ethnically Jewish are not religiously Jewish in any context.
I don't know anything about that.
The point you were making is that Jews who vote for Obama are Jews in name only.
I said that, yes, that is correct, that Jews who voted for Barack Obama, a progenitor of the Iran deal, a person who was cracking down on religious liberty, a person who spent much of his career as president of the United States attempting to deprive Israel of the necessities to defend itself, that people, Jews who voted for President Obama, by and large, cared about Judaism far less than they did about other priorities.
Did you say they should turn their badge in as a Jew?
Yes, I believe that if you are somebody who takes Judaism seriously, that comes along with ideological commitment.
I mean, I guess.
Also, I hope you're having fun, by the way, going through every old tweet that I've ever sent to try and do gotcha questions. But if you'd like to have a discussion about my general philosophy or things I've done in, say, I don't know, that was 2012, so it's now 2019. If you'd like to discuss something I've done in, say, like the past 5 years, why don't we do that? How about that?
Because your book is a criticism of how angry America is and how America has to do better. And I'm simply
I have an entire list on my website, sir. On my list, I have an entire website of dumb, bad things that I've said. I'm simply trying to point out some of the things you've said that seem to me to help to stoke that anger. For example, you said Israelis like to build, Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage.
I'm half Lebanese, baby! Thought that was necessary to say.
Well, as I say in an article entitled, "Here's a list of all the giant, bad, dumb things I've ever said."
Was that dumb?
Well, yes, that's a dumb tweet. And not only, but it is also important to mention that the next few tweets clarify that tweet is specifically referring to the Hamas leadership, which, by the way, a BBC I've seen is relatively reticent to condemn.
No, actually, it wasn't. What you went on to do and say, you are correct about the slur on Arabs. It's not all Arabs that want to live in open sewage and blow things up. It's just Palestinians, you went on to say.
It says the ones who take sides against Israel in the Israel-Palestinian
population is rotten to the core, you went on to say. Not Hamas, the Palestinian Arab population.
I say that by poll numbers, they elected Hamas. They educate their children in school that Israel should be obliterated, sir.
I guess.
If you want to read, honestly, this is a giant waste of time, in the sense that the entire interview is designed for you to shout slogans or old things that I've said at me. I don't see how this forwards the debate. You talk about undermining the public discourse. It seems to me that simply going through and finding lone things that sound bad out of context and then hitting people with them is a way for you to make a quick buck on BBC off the fact that I'm popular and no one has ever heard of you.
There are not many bucks to be made on the BBC, unlike American broadcasting, Mr. Shapiro. The point I'm trying to make is that your words are highly designed to produce.
There's so much emotion here, dude. So many feelings hurt right now. I agree. This was a waste of time, but I also think that Ben Shapiro did not handle this very well. I don't think that he did. I mean, who knows, man? It doesn't even matter.
The consensus and understanding that the book seems to want to produce. That's my point, that you write about, Judeo-Christian culture and so on, but so much of what you've said in the past
this is a dumb interview, but it's funny.
Back on Judeo-Christian culture.
You're lecturing me on Judeo-Christian culture after you call the pro-life position barbaric?
I just
Really?
asked you a question.
And I asked you a question. You failed to answer a single one of mine. Frankly, I find this whole thing a waste of time. If you want to read the book and critique the book, why don't you read and critique the book? If you want to critique me, you can think whatever you.
Yeah, you didn't answer my question, dude. You're the interviewee. He's the interviewer. You know, like interviewees get asked questions.
Want of me.
Why don't you
frankly,
just try and
I don't
answer
care.
the
I don't
questions?
frankly give a damn what you think of me since I've never heard of you.
And I've never heard of you until I briefed myself for this. But that's not the issue. You have a
Then
new
why the hell
book
are you
out,
interviewing
and
me, sir?
it's an interesting book. But my point is, your book claims that
Well, it'd be nice if you would quote it from time to time.
Your book is, well, actually, I've done so several times, and I'm about to do so again, if you would let me just finish the question. Your book
frankly, I don't
claims
think
that
this, you know what?
society
Honestly,
is turning its back
sir,
on Judeo-Christian values.
Yeah, this,
what are
considering
those values?
what
What are the values it's turning its back on?
I'm not inclined to continue an interview with a person as badly motivated as you as an interviewer. So I think we're done here. I appreciate your time, sir.
All right.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you for your time and for showing that anger is not part of American political discourse. Now, Mr. Shapiro, we'll say goodbye.
Not part of American discourse. I don't know, dude. Like I said, I think the interview's fucking pointless. I think Andrew Neil's job is to put people against the ropes and air out some stuff that they've said. I think that's just what is expected, and I don't think Shapiro handled that well. But this video is to show you guys that it doesn't matter what side it's on, left or right, I'm reacting to shit. God damn it. So, that being said, go forward with your day doing something positive. I love you, and I'm so happy you tuned in to today's video. So with that being said, keep smiling, keep being yourself. Don't let anybody throw shade at you. I will see you tomorrow. That's a motherfucking fact, though. Yeah. Love y'all. Peace.
Don't believe the lies.